Hi everybody, welcome to Module 4, where we're going to be taking a look at poetry, realistic fiction, and fantasy. This means that Module 4 is going to be our longest module because it is actually going to be 3 weeks worth, and we have spring break that kind of wedges in between poetry and realistic fiction, so we will be in Module 4 for almost 4 weeks entirely. So I'll spend this screencast focusing on this week, which is poetry, and then looking ahead to realistic fiction and fantasy. I know that many of you will probably want to get caught up or even work ahead during spring break, so I'll try to make sure to answer any questions so that you'll be able to do so. Of course, you can always email me through Canvas if you need. Okay, so let's take a look at our content page for poetry and see what we have going on. So poetry, hopefully you guys enjoy poetry. If not, I think that after this module you might have a new love for it. I hope that you'll take some time to really explore what poetry is all about and understand how, poetry isn't always for everybody, but usually there is a poem for everybody. So you'll want to do your reading in that is titled for poetry, and of course your reading organizer is due Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. and we know that we do our reading organizer so that we are all done and caught up with our reading for the week so that we can better engage in the rest of our content. So once you complete our reading organizer for the week, you will then be focusing on our reading commentary, which is number 6 already. Reading commentary number 6, and we're doing poetry and anthologies. So the way we go about this one is that you want to find 2 books of poetry. You can choose from this list, which is Best Poetry Books for Kids or Scholastic Poetry Book List. And you can see that they have quite a long list of classic anthologies. And these will be books of poems. So you'll really find quite a lot in these books. You want to choose at least 2. Another thing that was brought to my attention is that the Scholastic Poetry Book of the Month list is currently down. So I will take a look at what's going on here and try to post another list. But if I don't find anything that I feel is suitable, then just go ahead and go off of our first list because there's plenty to choose from here. Okay, so once you have found your 2 books of poetry, you want to reread the books with attention, of course, to the forms of poetry that they include, what age group of readers the book is perfect for, and which poem the book was the best to read out loud and why. And how would you market the book of poetry? So this is kind of thinking outside the box here, what you think is the best poem to read out loud. If you have somebody at home that you can read some poetry to, I strongly suggest it because when you read a poem out loud, it is much different than when you read it to yourself. I'm currently reading Where the Sidewalk Ends with my 9-year-old, and he reads to me and I read to him, and sometimes we read quietly together, but I will definitely make mention of the fact that when it is read aloud, it comes to life. So I encourage you, even if you have to just read it aloud to yourself, that's always good too, but do practice the read aloud because it makes a big difference in terms of the power of the poetry. In your initial post, of course, you want to include the title and the author. And then the next section is form of poetry. Include in the book forms that are included in the book. So 2 to 3 sentences. Most poetry books contain many forms of poems. So you want to just take a look. What types of poetry does your particular book include? And describe at least 2 of them. Name the form and define it. Use your reading to kind of remember and refresh what those forms are. If you're not sure, reread the poetry text in Module 4. But it really goes into a lot of detail about the form of the poetry, and once you're familiar with that, you'll be able to really pick out what type of poem each one is as you're reading along, which is why I want you to find these anthology books so that you can really immerse yourself in the different forms of poetry. The next, what age of readers do you think this book is perfect for? 2 to 3 sentences, or 1 to to 2 sentences and tell me why. And then tell us about the poem from the book that you think was the best to read out loud. So this is where you try a few, right? Try on a few poems, read them out loud, and really decide which one is the most fun, which is the most powerful or meaningful to you, and explain why. And then you want to write a tweet promoting the book, okay? So this is going to be some kind of tweet that you would put out there. I know some of you may not be using Twitter, some of you may be, but imagine your hypothetical tweet. What would you put out there for the world to see that would promote this poem with the hashtag #PoetryRocks? It's always fun to read your tweets, so I really do look forward to that. And then, of course, as always, attach an image to the thread that shows the books that you read. If you can, take some pictures of the 2 poems that you chose out of the book, one from each book that you're highlighting that best reads aloud. Finally, you want to make sure that you're responding to your 2 peers. I know you are all doing pretty good about that, but if you're losing points on your reading commentaries because that you are not posting to your peers, it's real easy to remember. Just remember Sunday night, get in there, make a little note to yourself, respond to 2 peers so you can pick up those extra 2 points on your reading commentary. All right, let's jump back to our main page here. The next thing we're going to do is do a Flipgrid. Now, I had quite a few people email me this afternoon that the Flipgrid was not working with the link, and I have updated that. I have just updated it, so let's take a look with the favorite poem read out loud. If you're not familiar with Flipgrid, it's kind of like a video form of a discussion board. It's very, very fun. It's a really cool tool. A lot of educators are using it now. So you might be familiar with it, you might not, but I have a feeling you'll see it again. So this has been updated since this afternoon. I just updated it actually this evening. And I do apologize for any mix-ups there. I'm not sure why the link wasn't working. So what you're going to do is, well, go ahead and let's see. Let's just click on the Flipgrid and take a look here. So you're going to need to log in. If you don't have a Flipgrid account, you're going to need to create one. Create the account with your school email. It can be your Mesa Community College email, or it can be your Maricopa email. So you want to click in. I log in with Google. And I've been using my Mesa CC account. And it will take me right here. I already have an account, so which is why it's doing that. If you do not have a Flipgrid account, you'll have to make one. So once you've made your Flipgrid account, when you're logged in, it's going to take you to this to the grid, which is your favorite poem read out loud. So the directions are, after you've read the poetry module, you are going to decide on one poem to share. This could be the poem that you chose for your reading commentary, your favorite one. It could be another poem from one of the anthology books that you were looking at. It could be your personal most favorite poem. I'm really not particular. I just want you to choose a poem that you feel strongly, that you feel a connection to, and that you want to share with us. You want to practice your poem reading, but reading your poem with feeling and emotion and clarity. So practice it a few times in the mirror, practice it with a peer or somebody who can listen to you. It makes it all the more fun. Practice again and again and again, and then finally, when you're ready, you want to record yourself. The recording is not longer than 2 minutes, so make sure that your poem is not more than 2 minutes long, or else it will cut you off. You want to, when you introduce yourself in the poem, you want to say, "Hi, my name is Georgia Utsi, and I will be reading the poem Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein." And then you will go ahead and recite your poem. This is a video grid, so everyone will see you. So, pick yourself in your favorite lighting or in your, whatever you want to do to make you feel comfortable. But don't worry, everyone has to do it. So Don't feel shy. And then finally, listen to the comments on at least one peer's poetry read aloud. So you want to, what that means is you want to find a peer on the grid, open up their grid, listen to their poetry, and then make a comment. And it will be a video comment that you need to make again. So in essence, you're making two videos, one of your favorite poem, and then a quick comment to appear on their grid. It's very fun. A lot of my students really enjoy this. Now, this is an assignment that will not show up in Canvas, so it will show up as incomplete until I have graded it. So don't panic. If you have gotten on the grid, it's on there, you've made your comment to your peer, when I grade it, you will be counted. You don't need to turn anything into Canvas or send me an email. It's just one of those assignments that it's not going to be checked off through Canvas. Okay, so your favorite poem read out loud is due this Sunday, and that will be it. That is due for this particular week, and you are on spring break. Woohoo! So what you can be doing, as of course we know in Children's Lit, there's always more to do. You should be continuing to work with your read aloud students. Make sure that you are working with your readers, following along the plan that you have set for yourself, and making sure you're within your time management. And of course, don't forget to complete your journals for each week. And I know that you're doing a great job with that. If you have any questions, of course, you can always email me. You just don't want to wait till the very end. Okay, so we're going to go into spring break, and when we get back, we will be looking to start realistic fiction. The biggest part of realistic fiction is we have a pretty hefty reading commentary. And you might think, oh no, not really, because we're only choosing one book, which is true. Our Newbery books are our focus for reading commentary number 6. But Newbery books are long. So if you have the opportunity to hit the library over spring break, I suggest grabbing a Newbery Award winner so that you can get started on it. They're fun reads, but they're chapter books, so they do require a little bit more effort than the Caldecott winners and the picture books that we are a little bit more used to. So take the time to read your Newbery Award winner, and you will be ready for your reading commentary number 6. That is a big reason why our realistic fiction module or week is a little bit short. You are used to more. So if you take a look here in our week 2 of module 4, we just have our reading of realistic fiction, our reading organizer of realistic fiction that will be Tuesday we get back from spring break, and then our reading commentary, which is our Newbery Award winner. And we can take a look about that in more detail in my next Screencast-O-Matic, but just the biggest thing to know is that you need to have your Newbery book read and ready to post in the reading commentary. We are only choosing one book for that reading commentary, but the reason that is because the book is long. The main reason this week is short is simply because the Newbery book is long, and I want you to be able to get that read and be able to put your attention to that. So definitely just kind of be considering that on spring break. We've got Hunger Games coming up, so you want to be reading that, as well as choosing your Newbery Award winner for your reading commentary number 7. And then in week 3 of module 4, we have our fantasy section, and this is where our Hunger Games literature study will be due. So this is the second week we get back after spring break. And you will have your reading organizer due, of course, and then we do not have a reading commentary that week, but we have our literature study for the Hunger Games, as well as our interview for our Read Aloud project. Okay, I will unpack all of those things in more detail in my next Screencast-O-Matic, but I hope that you feel ready to go and that you enjoy your poetry module and have an absolutely fantastic spring break. Please email me through Canvas if you have any questions. Thanks!